This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. As the days get shorter and colder, it can really take a toll on how we feel. Maybe that means calling your grandma, writing a letter to your friend, finally grabbing lunch with someone you haven't seen in a while. And just like reaching out to a friend, starting therapy can take a bit of courage. BetterHelp makes it easy to start therapy. You'll be matched with a licensed therapist based on your needs and preferences so you can focus on your growth and goals. Not happy with your match? You can switch therapists anytime with no hassle. This month, don't wait to reach out, whether that's checking in on a friend or reaching out to a therapist yourself. BetterHelp makes it easier to take that first step. And our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PFF. That's betterhelp.com/PFF.
Patriots and the Bucs. Patriots win this game. New England goes down into Tampa, gets the dub 28-23. Top 5 graded players that we had for the New England Patriots in this one. Stephon Diggs, a 79.6. A big touchdown catch in this game, and also the recovered onside kick in which he absolutely got blasted by Deion Jones and was able to still hang on to the football to secure that win for him. Wide receiver Matt Collins, a 77.4. Offensive guard Mike Onwenu, a 74.7. Linebacker Robert Spillane, a 74.5. And then wide receiver Kyle Williams, big touchdown in this game, a 73.0. Drake May, a 66.1 overall grade. On Tampa Bay side of things, defensive tackle Greg Gaines, an 89.3. Running back Rashad White, an 82.4. Offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs, a 78.6. Safety Tyke Smith, a 76.6. Levante David with a 74.0. And then Baker Mayfield, a 68.5. Stat that told the story. Dalton.
Kind of funky because, we were talking about this before the show, and you looked at me like I was crazy when I said this had a little bit of a similar feel to that Jets-Browns game. Here's why I'm saying that, okay? Patriots had 435 yards of offense, right? 250 of those yards were accounted for on 4 plays.
Yeah.
So otherwise, they had just over 3.3 yards per play on the other 55 plays that they ran.
Yeah.
You're just looking at a team now with New England. They're showing us more every single week that they're not just decent. They're not just pretty good. They're not just maybe the best team in the AFC East. They're showing us more every week that they might actually be championship contenders. And I know they're really young. They got a mix of veterans in there. I've talked about that a lot. I think they have the right mix of guys. And the way Drake May is playing, I mean, who's stopping this offense right now? But even in the moments, look, the Bucs for a good majority of this game played pretty good defense.
I know.
But there was handful of plays.
So I went back and I watched those 4 big plays and the surrounding plays as well. I watched a good amount of this game. And I was like, who is the culprit in this game? Because obviously we do most impressive, most disappointing. And I was like, okay, who is the culprit? Like, was it Levante? Is it Servatia Dennis? Is it safety? Is it the defensive line or whatever? And I watched these 4 big plays, and it was kind of somebody different every other time. And when you look at outside of those, like, couple of plays, the rest of the games that a lot of these guys played were pretty good. And so it really was just a thing of, like, sometimes it only takes 4 plays to totally ruin a game for you. And that is what happened here.
And when they're home runs, here's the thing. I mean, there was a whole giant list of things the Patriots were missing, right, going into this season. It was, they have the quarterback. They think they have the quarterback in Drake May, and they certainly do now. They may have the quarterback, Trevor. Anyway, sorry. I'm surprised I didn't get booed for that one. Listen, they needed big-time offensive line help. They got that.
Yeah.
They needed more speed on the outside. Now we're starting to see that. This Patriot team, because we didn't see, the big plays coming out of this team in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, right? It was Stephon Diggs. It was still Hunter Henry. They were running with Ramondre Stevenson, right? This team last year, of all the problems they had, the big thing that I watched in their offense on the outside, they were so slow. That's not a problem now. They're getting Travion Henderson going. Burner, 2 long touchdown runs. We finally got a Kyle Williams sighting with the other speedster, Kayshon Boutte, out for this game. Boom, 72-yard touchdown, right? Demario Douglas is making plays. When you look at Boutte and Williams and Douglas and Henderson, now all of a sudden this team has blazers all over the place, on top of reliable guys like Diggs, like Stevenson, Henry, Hooper. Now they just got a boatload of weapons, and some of them can hit home runs. There are games when, you got to be conservative and complete passes and kind of grind your way through it, like the Buffalo game, right? Or Stephon Diggs has got to get you through it. This is a game where they needed home runs, and they hit a bunch of them. And I think the fact now, if this New England team now, with Drake May and the ability to make any throw on the field that he wants, if they have consistent speed threats now, this turns into an AFC, the conference or Super Bowl type contender now, because now you're just not missing anything in this offense any given week that Drake May is protected, and he's been protected just about every week.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Patriots can beat you in a lot of different ways, and it's really impressive. And to be honest, the stat that told the story, it's those 4 plays that you mentioned. I think specifically those 2 outside runs. They weren't outside zone runs, I don't believe. I think they were tosses, but the runs out to the sideline, they just did a beautiful job of blocking things up the way that they needed to, really running away from the teeth of what makes this Bucs run defense pretty good, and basically saying like, hey, we're going to force Levante David, who's 35 years old, to run to the outside and make plays. And on that one play that Henderson had to the left, Levante was just there, but not really there in time. And Travion, just because of his speed, just beat him to the angle and up the field. And then another one, it was like a Tyke Smith play where Tyke just couldn't quite get there. And Savasier Dennis had a play where he just couldn't reach a spot where he needed to. And so them being able to beat you in a lot of ways is really impressive, and it's really impressive stuff from Josh McDaniels. So hat is off to him. Most impressive in this game, I'm going to go with Greg Gaines. Greg Gaines, the defensive tackle from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 19 total snaps, 11 run defense snaps, 86.1 run defense grade. You go back and watch some of his best plays in this game. I mean, he is abusing some of the interior offensive linemen for the New England Patriots. Funny enough, on that Travion Henderson run that sealed the game, okay? That was one of the big runs to the outside. And that was the one that I mentioned where like Levante had a chance, but it wasn't the best chance in the world, but he had a chance, and Travion really just made a good play to get past him. On that play, Greg Gaines, I believe it's Jared Wilson, blows back Jared Wilson so far, so fast, he almost tackles Travion Henderson with Jared Wilson. Like he dominates that play so heavily that he almost made that a tackle for loss. But of course, the ball gets further out away from him and goes back to Josh McDaniels. Hats off, kudos. You're running away from that. You're running away from Vita Vea. You're running away from Greg Gaines. You're running away from a defensive line that's playing really strong and stout in the middle, and you're trying to get to the outside and forcing these other guys to make plays and make tackles at the defensive back spots. But Greg Gaines was really impressive in this one. Most disappointing, I wish these teams were fully healthy for this. You know, like obviously as a Tampa homer, like I wish that because they lost the game. But also like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Bucky Irving in this game. It just makes it fun. Like I just would have loved to see this matchup with these two teams fully healthy because I think they're two really good rosters. They could play really, really well. But Tampa just didn't quite have the firepower that they needed to, in my opinion, without those guys in the lineup.
Yeah, and things have slowed down a bit for Baker Mayfield lately. I mean, his last 4 games of 59.4 passing grade, and it's always an adventure with him, right? But you get the highs with the lows, and in the first 3 quarters of this game, a 55.5 passing grade before putting together some good throws at the end in the fourth quarter. But I think the Bucs, I mean, they're scratching and clawing. The good news is even with this loss, they're still clearly the best team in that division, right? The Panthers maybe had a shot to gain some ground against the Saints, and we're getting to that next. But the Falcons, it looks like, are just not going to get anywhere with what their offensive operation right now. The Bucs have time to figure things out and get healthy and just get there at this point. Just get to the postseason, get you a home postseason game. Probably not get the 1 seed the way things have been going lately, but they're in a really good position still, even with this loss. So get healthy and figure it out. And then most impressive thing for me, just the number of rookies in this game on both sides, making contributions. Will Campbell, solid at left tackle. Jared Wilson, you mentioned struggle in the run game, but only allowed 1 pressure as a pass protector. Henderson with 2 touchdowns. Kyle Williams had a touchdown. Emeka Ibuka with a touchdown. Tej Johnson filling in for all those hurt receivers, 7th rounder, 2 touchdowns.
Kyle Williams looked like he was ready for that. The second the ball hit his hands, he was shot out of a cannon. That was this speedster is now New England has. Then you look at my guy Elijah Roberts with 4 pressures and a sack out of SMU for the Bucs. Jacob Parrish has been good all year. Elijah Ponder even with 2 pressures and a sack for the Bucs. I mean, you have so many rookies that played well in this game. These two teams have got to feel really good about the future. Yep.